Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're here at the last few minutes of the show, and we couldn't be happier. We have Desmond Adams here, who is running
excellent
for the Democratic nomination to go up against David Young in the 3rd Congressional District here in Iowa. And we from my perspective, it sure would be glad to turn that seat back over to the blue table. But Doc, you had some questions to take us out these last few minutes.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, my brother Joe's listening in. His opinion is that just basically there's two ideologues over here talking to a lone thoughtful Republican. Just wanted to point that out.
If your brother Joe doesn't think he's an ideologue, he probably needs to look in the mirror.
Second thing is, Joe, you need to call me. Are you coming over for Thanksgiving? Third thing, I want to know how you would handle an establishment candidate coming into the race. There's been two people that have been kicked around a little bit. Just don't get me wrong. I don't have my hands into the Democratic pie like Mike or you or Desmond, but I do have a lot of Democratic friends, and there's two names being kicked around. One, I can't believe is a Vilsack, one or the other.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think that's going to happen. But the other one is Chet Culver, and apparently from the birdie that I know, he's going around to some Democratic donors, mainly in Washington, D.C., asking for some support. How are you going to handle an establishment candidate coming in, number one? And number two, do you think that's going to help or hurt the Republican that's currently in office?
You know, I didn't get to where I am by concerning myself with my opponent. I got to where I am by concerning myself with being the best Desmond Adams I could be. I can tell you this. We have 128,000 Democrats in Polk County. Mm-hmm. We have 83,000 registered Republicans in Polk County. That's a 45,000 advantage Democrat. In our last election, congressional, Stacey Apple won Polk County by 2,000 votes. Hence, she lost. She lost 43,000 she left on the table. And the election before that, Congressman Boswell won Polk County with 4,000 votes. He left, hence, 41,000 on the table. But yet in the same year, President Obama won 28,000 in Polk County. It was a 24,000 drop-off. Now, there's typically a drop-off between the presidential and the Senate, or the presidential and the congressional. However, when you do the research and you find out where those votes are primarily with young and with minorities, black and brown. And I believe that I can energize and open up and be a more inclusive candidate, and not simply because of the color of my skin. That would be such an easy, low-hanging fruit argument for somebody, but because, God bless America, because I actually reach out to those groups, and because I'm an inclusive person in everything that I do. My team is very inclusive, both age, gender, race, and culture. I believe that we need leaders that do that today. So hence, I welcome anyone that chooses to get in this race in January or beyond. The water is warm. Mine is a grassroots campaign. We don't have a lot of dollars. Matter of fact, go to DesmondAdams.com and you can donate tonight $5. We don't have a lot of money, but what we do have is we have a passionate candidate that cares and that is going to do the work. And folks are going to have to make their minds up. Do you want someone that's going to care and is going to talk to anybody at any time about any subject? Or do you want someone that's going to have the arrogance to get into the race 6 months out?
All right. So do you think an establishment candidate getting into the race is going to help David Young or going to hurt David Young? What do you think?
You know, I really think David Young has his own issues. I think David Young has his own challenges. I don't think that.
What do you think those are?
Well, quite frankly, I think that he has his own issues within his own party. The mere fact that David Young is running, and if he was to win, let's say that he was to win, that precludes several Republicans who it's one of their life goals and career goals from being able to represent the good folks in the 3rd Congressional District. And when you do the work, when you knock on the doors, make the calls, you should have the opportunity to run to represent your people. And unfortunately, they're precluded from that. And if he wins, they're further precluded from that. So hence, I don't believe that he's nearly as strong as people would like to believe, even though he's a really, really nice guy. The nice guy is not the issue. The reality is the way he went about it is not Iowan. And I think that's going to come back to haunt him.
Well, one of the knocks against David Young is the fact that he won't support term limits. Do you support term limits?
No, I don't support term limits.
All right. Now, I know you're out there knocking on doors. You're talking to us a little bit about being, out in the rural communities, knocking on doors. How many doors do you think you've banged on so far?
Quite a few, but typically the doors that I'm knocking on are business owners in rural communities. I talk about, and we haven't had a chance to talk about this, but I have a rural repopulation plan.
Well, knock yourself out. Tell us all about it.
Well, I've got a rural repopulation plan. The reality is in rural Iowa, 2/3 of our cities, we got a unique quagmire. 2/3 of our cities in our rural communities are leaving, but yet at the same time, we have less than 2.5% unemployment. Yet the average age of a new farmer is going to be 55 years old. We've got some, we're in a quagmire. So this is where the business ideas come in. This is where the innovation comes in. We can recruit and leverage our technology in our rural communities. They have incredible technologies from being able to get on faster internet. Why don't we recruit entrepreneurs, to go back to what we talked about? Why don't we create entrepreneurs and folks that can leverage and work from home or work remote, and we can build our communities that way? The asset that rural Iowa has, one of the assets, is the fact that your kids can run free. They can experience and enjoy nature. They can have friends and buddies and get to understand the earth and be free. Whereas on your coast, where we have large centers of populations, both on the East Coast and the West Coast, their kids often are staying in their 2-bedroom apartments. My thought is, and there's a business, and unfortunately it is escaping me at this very moment. There's a business that came to Iowa because of that, and they rebuilt out remotely for that, and very, very successful. That's a rural repopulation. Obviously that's a really snapshot of the plan, but it's to leverage our technology, leverage our communities, bring people in that have children between the ages of 8 to 13 so that they can experience our good culture here in Iowa.
All right. One question I want to ask is, how do you see our agricultural sector? How do you see rebuilding our agricultural sector?
Rebuilding how?
Well, because we're, like you just said, average age of a new farmer is 55. A lot of farmers are retiring. Young people can't afford to go out and buy.
Well, it's capital intensive. One of the major issues is that it's capital intensive. I mean, it's so capital intensive that, for the amount of money that you're going to make on an acre, maybe you're going to make $1.50, $1.75 if you're good on an acre. I mean, the reality is that's really difficult for a family to take that on. We need to help incentivize, and this is somewhere where the federal government can use their mighty weight to leverage, to help incentivize so that we can further build out and get our farmers and get new farmers in and new blood in. And not only, by the way, let's say this, not only men, there's a growing chorus for women farmers. But the reality is that it's so capital intensive, it's very, very, very difficult.
All right. I got one question. I'm not sure if it's fair or not, but it looks like Hillary is going to be your presumptive Democratic candidate for president. And she has not come out and said she's against drone strikes. Would you support a president who would continue with this policy of repeated drone strikes in the Middle East or wherever else? Because I know that's a big hot button issue for a lot of Democrats.
The issue of drone strikes?
The issue of drone strikes.
Well, this might be an interesting thought for some, but I'm in favor of giving our commander-in-chief as many tools as they need in order to protect this nation. We can talk about whether or not those tools are used in overreaching or whether they go outside the scope of being humane. But I by no means, as both a constituent of our next president or someone running for Congress, will I want to publicly tie the hands of my commander in chief. I think that that's not a good strategy. Some of these arguments that we're holding, so that we can tell the folks that want to do us harm exactly what we plan on doing. All
right, we got 30 seconds left. Anything for you on your end?
No, I just want to thank you, Desmond, for spending the hour with us. I certainly did appreciate it. It was illuminating, and certainly it's nice to get somebody with your point of view sitting at the table with us. And so I just want to thank you very much, and thank Michael Libby for hooking us up.
Yeah, absolutely. We are excited to have you on. We would like to invite you back whenever you would like to come back on.
Yep.
We'll discuss, and the next time, instead of us driving it, you can bring in the subjects and we'll ask you questions about it.
Absolutely.
How's that?
That sounds good.
So anything else you want to tell our audience?
It's been it's been a pleasure being here with you. I thank you for allowing me to come on your show and talk to your audience. I will say that they can visit to find out where I stand on issues at DesmundAdams.com. That's DesmundAdams. And if you're so willing and you heard what you liked this evening, please, $5 donation. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.